I told him, "My friends saw you naked and laughed at how tiny it was." His reply changed everything. "Hello, Reddit. Long-time lurker here, but this time I'm posting because I'm really lost and I don't know what else to do. I'm using a throwaway account because I don't want this tied to my main. My friends and family follow me on there, and I'd rather keep this mess private. So here I am, pouring my heart out to strangers on the internet, hoping to find some guidance." I'm not naive. I know Reddit is known for flaming people and being pretty brutal, but I've also seen how it can sometimes provide genuinely helpful advice. I expect to get flamed for this, honestly. I probably deserve it. But if there's anyone out there who can offer constructive feedback, I'd appreciate it. I really don't know where else to turn, and I can't bring myself to talk to my friends about this. My name is Ashley, I'm 29, and my husband Max is also 29. We've been married for about 2 years, but we've known each other forever. It's that classic childhood sweethearts thing. We grew up together, have been in each other's lives since forever, and we're each other's first for everything. Our lives have basically revolved around one another for as long as I can remember. Max is incredible. I'm not just saying that because I feel guilty, though I'll get to that in a minute. He's supportive, caring, and honestly the most selfless person I've ever known. He always puts my needs above his own and goes out of his way to make sure I'm happy. He's been the perfect partner in so many ways, the kind of person you'd look at and say, wow, that's what a great relationship looks like. And yet, I still managed to screw it all up. Big time. And that I'm going to admit right now that this isn't an easy post to write because I know I'm the one who messed up. And not just in a little oops way. I did something awful, something I don't know if I'll ever be able to take back. I hurt Max in a way I never thought I could, and now I'm left trying to figure out if there's any way to fix it. Let me explain. In the beginning, I used to think it was amazing how Max was so caring, so good to me, how he always put my needs above his own, how he always chose me first no matter what. It was everything I thought I wanted in a partner. He never complained, never asked for anything in return, and I thought, wow, I'm so lucky. I wanted to be a stay-at-home wife, and I told him that was what I needed to be happy. Max agreed without hesitation. He took on the full responsibility of supporting us financially, no questions asked. I wanted to get married, even though he wasn't big on the idea of marriage, but again, he agreed, because it was what I wanted. And when it came to starting a family, he had always dreamed of having kids early, but I wasn't ready. I told him I wanted to wait until we were in our 30s. Again, he didn't fight it. He agreed. There were countless other incidents like that. He has always been the one to bend, to compromise, to make sure I got what I wanted, even when it meant putting his own desires on the back burner. In the beginning, I thought it was sweet. I found it so endearing that he would do anything for me, that I had someone who cared so deeply about making me happy. It felt like something out of a storybook, where the prince does everything for the princess, no matter what. But then, things started to change. It didn't happen overnight, but slowly, it began to grate on me. What I used to find endearing started to feel suffocating. I guess, in a way, it started to feel like Max didn't have a backbone, that he would just do whatever I said without ever standing up for himself or pushing back. And that was when I started making new friends. Friends who were a little more worldly, I guess. They were outgoing, confident, and used to being with guys who challenged them, who weren't afraid to assert themselves. When I started spending more time with these new friends, I began to see Max through their eyes. They would tease me about the fact that he was the only man I'd ever been with. They'd make offhand comments about how he always let me have my way, how it must be so boring to be with someone who never challenged me, who wasn't more exciting. I started to feel embarrassed about him. There was a part of me that agreed with them, even though I hated to admit it, but that part of me started to grow, and eventually it started to show in how I treated him. I became condescending. I started talking down to him, making little remarks that I thought were just playful at first. I'd joke about how he always did what I said, how he was so predictable. I would laugh about it with my friends, and at some point, I think I convinced myself that it wasn't a big deal, that it was just harmless banter. But deep down, I knew I was changing. I knew I was starting to resent him for something that used to make me love him even more. I was caught up in this new version of myself, this version that cared more about what other people thought than about what I actually felt. And somewhere along the way, I let that version take over. I was just so caught up in this new version of myself that I barely even cared about what Max thought or said. My shift in attitude was so massive, I'm pretty sure it must have shocked him. I went from seeing Max as this loving, supportive partner to viewing him as an obstacle in my way. I started to act like his feelings and opinions didn't matter at all. I don't know exactly when it happened, but the condescension became second nature. For instance, when it came to social events, I didn't care what Max wanted. There were so many times when he would ask me to skip a party, especially when he didn't feel comfortable with the crowd or had a bad gut feeling about it. I knew he preferred that I stayed home and spent time with him, but I ignored that completely. I would argue, saying, "You're not my dad, Max. I don't need permission to go out." I framed him as being controlling just because he was uncomfortable. In my mind, he was trying to hold me back, to keep me from enjoying life and making friends. I even started convincing myself that the only reason I ended up with Max was because he had somehow manipulated me into thinking he was the only one for me. My friends, God, they didn't help at all. They fed this narrative, telling me that it was weird that Max had been my only serious relationship, that I hadn't experienced anything else. It started getting to my head. I genuinely started believing that maybe Max had somehow trapped me all my life. I told myself that I was just with him out of convenience, not because I wanted to be. That mindset poisoned the way I treated him. I became so condescending. I would publicly mock his decisions, making jokes about how naive or simple-minded he was in front of our friends. It was like I felt the need to put him down so that I could lift myself up. I thought I was the one calling the shots in our marriage, and I made sure he knew that. His opinions? I didn't care. Max could suggest something, anything really, and I would shut it down without a second thought, acting like I was the only one capable of making decisions for both of us. One time, we were shopping for furniture, and he suggested a practical, affordable couch. I just rolled my eyes and said, "Max, your taste is so boring. I'll handle this. Clearly you have no idea what looks good." It wasn't just the couch. This attitude spilled into every aspect of our lives. Even when it came to our finances, Max was the one carrying the financial load, yet I never took his concerns seriously. If I wanted something, I would just go for it. Max would try to tell me that we couldn't afford certain things, like a vacation or redecorating the house, but I would just dismiss him, telling him he was being paranoid and that we could just take out loans if needed. I never bothered to think about the strain this was putting on him, or on our future. I wasn't just undermining his opinions, I was actively downplaying his feelings. Our anniversaries, or even special occasions, I missed them. I was too busy doing what I wanted. Max tried to plan something special for us one year, and when I finally showed up late, I wasn't even grateful. I acted disappointed and told him it was too basic, like it wasn't enough. He looked crushed, but I didn't care at the time. I brushed it off as him being overly sensitive, telling him he was overreacting. It was like I had become blind to the fact that this was the man who had always gone out of his way to make me happy, and I was treating him like he was a nuisance. And then there was the way I would brag to my friends. I don't even know why I did it, but I would talk about how much control I had over Max. My friends would comment on how different we were and would ask why I was still with him, why I hadn't left him for someone more exciting or adventurous. Instead of defending Max, I would just shrug and say, because I have control over him, he wouldn't dare tell me what to do. It was like I was proud of the fact that I could do whatever I wanted, and Max would never stand up to me. I said these things even in front of him, not caring how hurtful it was or how humiliated he must have felt. I don't know what got into me. I became someone I didn't even recognize. The worst part is, Max didn't deserve any of it. He never once tried to control me. He was just trying to look out for me, trying to make sure we were on solid ground. And I took advantage of his love and loyalty and treated him like his thoughts, feelings, and contributions didn't matter. I tried so hard to fit in with this new crowd of people, and now looking back, I can't even understand why. I don't know what it was that drew me to them. Maybe it was because they were bold, outspoken, and always seemed so carefree. They had this confidence that I felt I lacked, and I guess I thought if I became like them, I'd finally feel that way too. But to do that, I had to prove myself. And somehow, that led to me realizing the easiest way to impress them was by embarrassing Max. These friends would constantly label themselves as feminists, preaching about independence and how they didn't need men, when in reality, most of them were just using this rhetoric as an excuse to treat people however they wanted. They weren't about empowerment, they were about self-indulgence. Some of them were openly cheating on their partners or jumping from one fling to another, but they'd paint it as a form of rebellion against societal norms. I was too blind to see it for what it really was. At that time, I just wanted to fit in. I wanted to be seen as strong and in control, like they were, and I thought the way to do that was by showing that I could dominate Max. It started small, but it quickly spiraled out of control. I began to treat Max like he was my personal servant in front of them. I would joke around saying, "Oh, Max is just my assistant. He does whatever I tell him." It was like a performance, something I put on to show how much control I had. I thought it made me look powerful in their eyes. It became a routine. Anytime Max was with us, I would start ordering him around, belittling him, making him the punchline of every joke. My friends laughed, and I basked in their approval. I thought I was winning, but all I was doing was losing respect for the one person who had always been in my corner. I didn't stop there either. I started making fun of Max's appearance, both in front of them and when we were alone. I mocked his clothes, his hair, his weight, anything I could find to tear him down. It didn't matter if it was true or not. The point was to make him feel small and make myself look bigger in comparison. I took everything about Max for granted. His feelings, his desires, his opinions, they all became insignificant to me. I acted like nothing he said or did mattered, and in doing so, I became increasingly dismissive, cruel, and hurtful. And then my friends started talking about cheating. They made it sound like it was no big deal, like it was empowering. Women aren't meant to be monogamous, they'd say. It's just society forcing us into these relationships. I didn't buy into it at first. The idea seemed absurd to me. I'd been with Max my entire life, and we had always been faithful to each other. But the more they talked about it, the more they tried to push me toward it. They even started setting me up with random guys at parties, trying to get me to hook up with someone else. At first, I resisted. I wasn't interested, but over time, their words started getting to me. I started questioning everything. Was I really happy with Max? Was it normal that I'd only ever been with him? Maybe they were right. Maybe I was missing out on something. And soon enough, I became open to the idea of cheating. I convinced myself that it wouldn't be such a big deal. I started doing things that I knew would hurt Max. I'd go to parties and dance with other guys, grinding on them, letting them touch me. I'd even make out with some of them, knowing full well it was crossing a line, but I never went all the way. That was my boundary, the one I convinced myself I wouldn't cross. At least, not yet. But the truth was, I wanted to. I wanted to cross that line. I wanted to experience what my friends kept talking about. I felt like I was trapped in this monogamous relationship, and that maybe if I opened things up, I'd finally feel the freedom I was craving. So, I decided to bring it up to Max. I knew it wasn't something Max would ever agree to. He was monogamous to his core. It was one of the things I used to admire about him. But I was so far gone at that point, so wrapped up in my own delusions, that I thought I could manipulate him into it. Max had always listened to me, always put my needs above his own. So I thought I could strong-arm him into opening up our marriage. I figured if I pushed hard enough, he'd cave like he always did. I'd guilt-trip him, make him feel like he was being selfish if he said no. Maybe even trick him into thinking it was his idea. It was such a twisted plan, but in my mind, I justified it. I told myself that this was something I deserved, that I had the right to explore other options. Max would just have to deal with it. I didn't see how wrong it all was until it was too late. My so-called friends, if I can even call them that anymore, made me do things that I'm disgusted by. Looking back, I realize how toxic they were, but at the time I was so desperate to fit in, to be a part of their group, that I let them lead me into doing something horrible. Now, I regret it more than anything. It all started when we were sitting around talking about relationships, and of course sex came up. They were obsessing over how the size of a man really matters, and it didn't take long before they turned their attention to me, asking what size Max was. I tried to brush it off, telling them that he was above average, thinking that would shut down the conversation. But it didn't. They wouldn't let it go. They kept pushing, asking more questions, teasing me, and then one of them suggested the most ridiculous thing they wanted to see for themselves. I was shocked. Obviously, who wouldn't be? I told them no, of course. I said I wasn't going to do that, but they didn't let it drop. For days they kept pushing, making jokes about it, saying things like, "Come on, we're all girls here, it's no big deal." And for some reason, I started to believe it. Maybe I thought if I gave in, they'd finally stop. Maybe I thought it would earn me more of their approval. I don't know, but eventually I caved. I feel sick just thinking about it now, but at the time, I didn't even stop to consider what I was doing. I installed a camera in the bathroom, hidden in a way that Max wouldn't notice. I recorded him naked. I still can't believe I did it, but I did. And then I showed the video to my friends. Some of them even wanted me to send it to them, so I did. Back then, it felt like it was just one big joke. I didn't think much of it, like once they saw it, they'd finally shut up and move on. And they did. After that, the topic was dropped, and I thought that was the end of it. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part came when I decided to talk to Max. I'd been so influenced by my friends' constant talk about cheating and open relationships that I actually started to believe it was something I wanted too. I thought, maybe if I brought it up to Max, he'd agree, and we could open up our marriage. I knew deep down it wasn't something he'd ever go for. He's always been strictly monogamous, but I convinced myself that if I manipulated the situation right, I could get him to cave. I thought maybe I could guilt trip him, maybe make him feel like he wasn't doing enough, and that would be enough to change his mind. So I sat Max down, and we had a long conversation. I told him how unhappy I was, how I felt trapped, and how I thought opening up our marriage be a good solution. I didn't even realize how ridiculous I sounded. I was so focused on getting what I wanted that I didn't care how much it hurt him. Max, of course, was completely against it. He didn't want anything to do with an open marriage, and he made that clear from the start. He kept saying no, kept refusing, but I wasn't having it. I kept pushing him, telling him to think about it, trying to plant the idea in his head. But Max never wavered. He stayed firm, saying he wasn't going to do that. That's when I snapped. I was so angry, so frustrated that he wouldn't agree, that I said the cruelest thing I could think of. I blurted out that my friends had all seen him naked, and that they thought he was tiny. I told him that he couldn't satisfy me, and that's why I needed other people. I don't even know where those words came from, but they came out of my mouth before I could stop them. Max was stunned. I could see the shock and hurt in his eyes immediately. He asked me if I was serious, and in my anger, I doubled down. I said yes. I didn't explain, didn't elaborate. I just let it sit there, the most hurtful thing I'd ever said to him, hanging between us. He didn't say anything after that. He just went upstairs, packed a bag, and left. It's been 3 days now. He hasn't come back. He won't answer my calls or texts. I've been trying to get him to talk to me to explain that I didn't mean what I said, but he won't respond. It's like I finally had a reality check, and I can't believe what I've done. I've crossed lines I can never uncross. I don't know how to fix this. I don't want Max to know about the camera. I can't let him find out that I recorded him and showed the video to my friends. If he finds out, I know it will be the end of us for good. So now I'm stuck. How do I deflect if he starts asking about what I meant when I said my friends saw him naked? How do I explain that without revealing what I did? I'm lost and I don't know what to do. How do I fix this? How do I get Max to talk to me again? And how do I make this right without him finding out the whole truth? Update. Hello, Reddit. I can't believe I'm even typing this out, but here I am. Everything has spiraled out of control, and I feel like I'm drowning in the mess that I've created. It's been a week since I made that post, and my husband still hasn't said a word to me. He hasn't come back home, and I don't know where he is. I've reached out to our mutual friends, but they're either clueless or they're deliberately keeping things from me. They keep asking what happened, why he left the house, and of course they're very curious about the whole situation. I don't even blame them. I don't want to tell them what happened yet because I know I'm going to get flamed for this. I can already imagine their reactions, everyone piling on, telling me how this is all my fault. I can't handle that right now. I feel vulnerable enough as it is without my friends throwing accusations at me and making me feel worse. It's like I'm already living in a nightmare, and I don't want to add fuel to the fire by bringing my friends into it. I've also reached out to his family, but they've been just as tight-lipped, those fuckers. They clearly know where he is, but they won't tell me. They've made it abundantly clear that they blame me for this whole mess. They're judging me, and it stings. I used to be so close to them, but now I feel like an outcast. They pretty much hate me already, and they aren't even hiding it. Every time my phone buzzes, my heart races, half hoping it's Max reaching out to me and half dreading who it might actually be. I've been getting slammed left and right on this post. It's gone viral in ways I didn't expect, and I've received so many comments and DMs that I haven't even been able to go through them all. I know I'm going to read every single one to see what people are saying, to understand how others perceive my actions, but it's so overwhelming. Plus, it's annoying that all everyone wants to talk about is how I've messed up and not how to fix it. Like, yes, Jesus, please, I know I messed up, duh, how do I fix it? Like, hello? I'm here because I want to know how to fix it. To address a couple of ridiculous questions I've seen floating around, I'm not trying to deflect or push the blame onto my friends. I know it's all my fault. Sure, they influenced me and were completely in the wrong for how they acted, but I'm not an idiot who can't think for herself. I made my choices, and I went along with whatever they said when I should have just said no and kicked those fuckers out of my life. That's on me. I have a huge part in this mess because I let their opinions drown out my own. So yes, I'm to blame here. I can't shift the blame onto anyone else. I'm not trying to minimize what I've done, nor am I trying to suggest that I'm the victim in all of this. I realize the gravity of my actions, and I can't pretend otherwise. I want to clarify something important. This isn't some fabricated story for attention or pity. I have way better things to do than come online and create a fake story. This is my reality, and it's painful to admit how far I've fallen. I don't want sympathy. I just need to figure out how to work out this mess, and hopefully find a way to reach out to Max. I miss him so much it hurts, and every day feels so painful without him. Update. Hello, Reddit. Well, I guess your prayers were answered. Lots of you fuckers kept saying, oh, I hope Max leaves her, and I hope that poor boy comes to his senses and doesn't forgive her because she doesn't deserve it. Well, congratulations. Your prayers were answered. He won't forgive me. Let me start from the beginning. Max finally came around to the house to pick up a few things, and we ended up having a very, very long conversation. I'm not going to go into all the details here, but the short version is that Max wants a divorce. The long version? He's pretty much done with my shit. We talked, and it was mostly me begging him to reconsider. I tried to convince him that I had changed, that I wanted to work on things, but he just kept saying it was too late. He reminded me that I had so many chances to work on our relationship, and now that he finally decided to walk away, I couldn't just swoop in and expect him to take me back. Then came the part where he asked me what I meant when I said my friend saw him naked. Of course I had expected that question. But still, I kind of panicked and told him I had just lied to hurt him. Honestly, I could see the skepticism in his eyes. He didn't seem very convinced. Thankfully, he dropped it, and I could tell that it still stung him. I'm sitting here just coming to the realization that Max is really gone, my sweet, kind Max, and no amount of begging or sweet-talking will fix this. But there's still this tiny part of me that feels like I have to try. I don't know what to do. My husband is divorcing me, and I've messed up everything. This is all my fault, and I'm still getting flamed by you guys and family for how I've treated him. And once our mutual friends find out, they will rip me apart too. Thanks a lot for nothing, Reddit. I probably won't even update this again because, to be honest, I don't see the point. I feel like I've already lost everything that mattered. Update. Hello, Reddit. So if you're just stumbling upon this for some reason, I guess you can check my page for my previous posts to understand what's been going on. I know I said I wouldn't update again, but I've been getting DMs asking for an update, and it seems like everyone wants to see how my life continues to spiral into chaos. Maybe my misery makes you all feel better about your own lives? I don't know, but I really need advice this time. Like, seriously, I really, really do. So when I mentioned that Max wasn't convinced when I lied about my friends seeing him naked, I was right. He wasn't convinced. Ever since that whole ordeal unfolded, I haven't talked to my friends. A huge part of me feels like they influenced my behavior, which spiraled everything out of control. And another part of me has just been panicking and wanting to avoid everyone altogether. I've been ignoring their messages, and guess what? Not one of them came by to check on me. I guess they were never really good friends in the first place. Then things took a turn for the worse. Max tracked down one of my so-called friends on social media and asked her about what I'd said. This stupid girl spilled everything. She told him about the conversation we had about the camera I installed in our bedroom. She even sent him the video. What's worse, she didn't even tell him that they had influenced and basically pushed me into doing it. No, she said that I was the one who suggested showing them. Can you believe this? This lying, backstabbing witch completely twisted the narrative. Max was furious. With physical evidence in hand, he stormed over to my house with his sister to confront me, and it was an absolute shit show. I was crying and begging him to listen, but he was having none of it. He wants to sue me. Yes, you heard that right. He literally wants to sue me. I'm completely fucked, literally and figuratively. I don't know what to do. What the hell do I do, guys? I need advice, especially from anyone with legal knowledge. Am I going to go to jail? Is there any chance I could avoid jail time? I really don't want to go to jail. I've been crying and calling Max, begging him to reconsider. I even had to come clean to my mom and siblings about everything that's been happening. They've been messaging Max, trying to convince him to talk to me, to reconsider his stance. I've told them I'd sign the divorce papers, that I won't ask for anything. I just don't want to go to jail. But Max isn't budging. I know his family is likely pushing him to follow through with this. So here I am, in the middle of this mess, feeling utterly helpless and desperate for any advice you guys can give me. What should I do next? How can I fix this? Update. Hey Reddit. So again, I don't even know why I bothered posting on here. I didn't get a lot of helpful advice. Most of you kept saying I deserved everything that's happening. But a few of you actually gave me some useful tips, so thanks for that, I guess. A lot of people mentioned that I'll probably be charged with voyeurism and that it's considered a sexual offense. Some of you even said I could go to jail, or maybe get community service, or a fine. So, at least it's not as bad as I initially thought. A few of you helped me realize that the maximum sentence for voyeurism is 2 years, which honestly isn't as terrible as I expected. But I'm still absolutely terrified because jail? That's my worst nightmare. I don't want to go to jail. I wouldn't fit in there, and I know I'd hate every single second of it. I mean, who the hell would want to go to jail? So, I really want to try to come to some sort of settlement with Max. That's my main focus right now. Oh, and on top of all that, I finally got served. Yep, the divorce papers finally came. I knew it was coming, so it wasn't a shock, but it still hit me hard. There's nothing left to salvage in this marriage anymore, and that realization crushed me. I cried, like a lot. I think it's really starting to sink in that I'm the one who ruined everything. I messed up my marriage with my own hands, and there's no undoing it now. Third, Max kicked me out of the house. Yeah, that happened. The house was his, technically, and even though he'd left for a bit, I guess his awful family reminded him that it didn't make sense for him to leave me there. So he came back, gave me a few days to pack my stuff, and now I'm out. I'm currently staying at my parents' house, and it's not great. My parents are disgusted by everything that's happened. They're blaming me for it all, which isn't surprising, but it still hurts. They can't even look at me the same anymore. So now I'm stuck in this miserable situation, trying to figure out how to keep going. I'm completely broke. I've lost almost everyone. Our mutual friends? Yeah, they've all sided with Max. Nobody's reaching out to check on me, not a single one. I'm literally all alone and I'm terrified. I don't know how to fix any of this, and I don't know how to move forward. It feels like I'm drowning and there's no one left to pull me up. I don't know what to do. Update. Hey Reddit, it's been a long fucking while, I know. If you're just stumbling on this, you might want to check my previous posts to actually get what's going on. Now moving on, like I said, it's been a while. I saw my post featured on Best of Redditor updates recently, and it was marked as inconclusive because I hadn't updated in over a year. Honestly, I've been putting off updating for a long time. Months, actually. I just didn't feel ready. But when I saw my post on TikTok with the usual shitty Minecraft background, I figured, fine, I might as well update. So here's the short answer. I hadn't updated because I was in jail. Yeah. The long story is, first off, the divorce was finalized. It was cut and dry, barely an hour in court. There was no debt, no money to split. All of Max's properties were his alone, and I had no claim to any of them. Plus, we'd only been married for 3 years, so I didn't even qualify for spousal support. No kids either. So, in the end, it was quick. But I'll be real, it still sucked. Really bad. After the divorce, though, things got worse, like way worse. I got charged with voyeurism. The charge was for installing a camera with the intention of recording someone in a private act without their permission. Honestly, I don't even think I should have been charged with voyeurism, but I didn't get a lawyer. I couldn't afford one, so I didn't fight it. I didn't get the right to a jury trial. It was just a summary conviction in the magistrate's court. I didn't have the energy or resources to really do anything about it. And guess what? I ended up getting a year in prison. Let me tell you, jail was absolute hell. From the moment I got there, it was like people decided they hated me. I have no clue why. Maybe because they're just terrible people. But I was bullied nonstop for that whole year. I'm still not okay. I still have moments where I struggle with what happened in there. I'm out now, but it's hard. I'm staying with my parents, and I still don't have a job. It's been so long that I feel totally out of touch with everything. I'm jumpy, anxious, and honestly, I'm just a mess. I know I need help, so I've started therapy, and I'm really hoping it will help me get my life back together. It's the only thing I feel like I can control right now, working on myself. My fake-ass friends didn't even bother to check up on me while I was in jail. Like, seriously? Not one of them reached out. I was in there for a whole year, and you'd think someone would have the decency to at least come pay a visit. But nope, nothing. I mean, come on. They must have heard about everything that happened, right? Not even the bitch who had the audacity to blab to Max about how I recorded him, and even sent them the video. Did she bother to see how I was doing after everything fell apart? Or maybe even check up on me and tell me about how she told Max everything? Not even a, hey, hope you're okay, or what the hell happened? Or maybe even a visit while I was in jail. Just radio silence. Honestly, it's so frustrating to realize that I was just a source of entertainment for them. And now that I'm out, they've all moved on with their lives while I'm still picking up the pieces of mine. I feel so betrayed and angry. I thought we had a bond, but it looks like I was the only one who cared. What kind of friends abandon you when you need them the most? I know I messed up and I'm paying for it, but the least they could have done was check in. As for Max, because I'm sure a lot of you are wondering what's up with him, he's doing fine. Better than fine, actually. He's in a relationship now, and they've been together for a while. From what I've heard, they seem happy. So yeah, at least one of us came out of this better off. As for me, I'm still trying to figure out how to pick up the pieces of my life. It's hard when everything feels like it's falling apart, but I guess all I can do is try to move forward. Maybe someday I'll be happy again too. So, that's it, thanks I guess.
I sit on my couch, my heart pounding in my chest. I didn't think something like this would happen to me. I, male, 28 years, and have been married for 5 to my wife, female, 28 years. We got married soon after we graduated university. We met each other through mutual friends at some college party. She was smiling at me and I thought she was beautiful. We began talking and found that we shared many classes together. She asked me to save her a seat beside me in the next class, and I did. We used to run into each other quite a lot. We used to hang out with our friends and in classes. After a month went like this, I decided it's time that I asked her out on a date. "You want to go out tonight?" I asked her, heart beating in my chest. "Sure, who all are coming?" she asked, clueless. "Just us," I said with a smile. She smiled at me like she has been waiting for this as well. I took her to a fancy restaurant near our campus, and that's how we began dating. We were happy in our relationship. I vowed to myself to work hard to build us a future we both wanted. We soon graduated college and moved in together in a small apartment. Everything was going good. We both used to work on different jobs, but still made the time for each other whenever we could. I knew I wanted to spend my life with her, so I proposed her to marry me at the same restaurant we went to on our first date. She was teary-eyed and said yes. We got married quite young, but we thought why to wait when we are sure about each other. I knew I wanted her and she wanted me. So what could go wrong in our marriage? We navigated through life together. When we had hard days, we would hug each other and hoped that the next day would be better. We celebrated the good days with each other. We came a long way in these 5 years professionally as well as personally. We were living happily together until all of it came apart. My wife started acting differently around 3 months back. There wasn't any big difference in her behavior, but there were small things. I asked her if something was wrong and she said it was just stress from work.
Hey everyone. Unfortunately, basically everyone who is watching these videos isn't subscribed. It would mean the world to me to quickly get out of the full screen video for 3 seconds and press that subscribe button. It's free and you can unsubscribe anytime. Sorry for bothering and thank you so much if you subscribed.
I believed her and let it go. But the patterns didn't come to an end. She started leaving for work before I could wake up and would be home really late from work. We stopped having meals together. I felt like she was ignoring me for some reason. Every time I asked her, she would give me some reason or the other. We have been together for quite a long time, so I didn't think she had any reason to lie to me. One day when I came home, she was in the kitchen. I could hear her whispering. No, I'll be there," she said. When she saw me coming, she hung up the call. "Who was that?" I asked casually. She told her it was her friend from the office. They were inviting her for dinner that weekend. She used to meet her girlfriends from work at least twice a month. So it seemed plausible that she was talking to any one of them. I didn't pay much attention to it and then went back to the living room. Everything was going normal in our life. My wife was still acting differently around me. Her work was really stressing her out, I thought to myself. She got dressed in a really gorgeous dress that weekend when she was going out with her friends. She never used to put so much effort in dressing to impress others. It was one of those things I noticed in the beginning and it stuck with her throughout our marriage life as well. This was different. I've seen taking hours to get ready when we went out on date nights, but she never did this for a casual night out like she told me she was going that day. I thought, maybe I'm overthinking over nothing and decided to let it go. I kept waiting for her, but she didn't come back home in time. I texted her, but she didn't reply to them either. I got really worried. I called for her, but she didn't pick any of them. I was worried if something bad had happened to her. I was pacing back and forth thinking who to call. I didn't even know which restaurant they went to. Just as I was about to call a friend of hers, she called me back. I asked her where she was. She told me she's with her friend and she'll be home late. She told me not to worry and to sleep and then hung up on me. I couldn't sleep that night because I had no idea where my wife was. I was in bed waiting for her the whole night. I heard her footsteps when the front door opened and she came to the bedroom. "You're up?" she asked me. I told her I couldn't sleep. She told me how the night ran long and they didn't even realize it. She came to bed after getting in her pajamas. "Let's sleep," she said as she snuggled by my side. I gave her a slow smile. But I still couldn't fall asleep. I had a feeling in my gut that my wife was hiding something from me. Why can't I just ask her? I thought in my head. There was a distance between us now. I didn't know what had brought it, but it was there between us. And I didn't know what to do to take it away. Just when I was engrossed in my thoughts, her phone kept getting notifications. They were all text messages. I took her phone to see who has been texting her this early in the morning. The contact wasn't saved on her phone. The text messages sent me in a spiral of confusion. All the texts were weird and didn't make any sense. That person was thanking my wife last night. What did they do last night and why was this person telling her to meet next weekend as well? The texts were really short and vague. It was impossible for me to figure out if this person is a male or a female. I didn't want to wake up my wife, so I thought of asking her after she woke up. I didn't realize when I fell asleep. When I woke up, I heard noises coming from the kitchen. I went there to find my wife cooking for us. She gave me a smile when she saw me. I didn't know why, but something inside me stopped me from asking her who was texting her. We ate our meal in silence. The next day, when I came to my car after work, I saw a note stuck to the wiper of the car. I looked to see if there was someone who had kept it there, but I didn't see anyone there. I opened the note. It only said, "Stay safe." I didn't know what that meant. There was no name of the person who had written it or kept it there. I made my way home with a confused mind. Why would someone leave a note like that for me? I kept wondering. It cannot be a coincidence that I got a note like this after my wife started acting differently. I could have asked her, but I didn't think she was going to give me an honest answer. I saw a car leaving my house when I reached home. My wife was getting inside the house. I followed her and asked her whose car was that. She told me a friend of hers was visiting. Which friend? I asked curiously. None of her friends I know own that car. Oh, just a colleague, she said distractedly. Office colleague? I followed up. Was all I got. I left her in the living room and went to my home office. I checked the CCTV camera. I saw a tall, dark-haired guy leaving the campus before I came home. So it was a male colleague visiting her, I thought silently. I didn't stop there. I replayed previous week's recordings as well. Realization drawn on me. This guy had visited my home various times in the last 3 months. Sometimes, he came to pick my wife. We never checked CCTV cameras unless there was something we were looking for specifically. My wife probably thought that I wouldn't check it. There was no way I was going to talk to my wife now. She never once told me that a man had been visiting our house when I wasn't at home. It didn't matter if he was a colleague or whatever. I deserved to know this. Now I'm going to find the truth by myself. I replayed the CCTV recordings once again. I noticed their body language. It wasn't like two colleagues who are meeting professionally. They knew each other well. I saw them hugging each other closely before he drove off. Between my wife's strange behavior, that random note, and a stranger hugging my wife like they have known each other since forever, I felt completely frustrated. I needed to find the truth before I lost my mind completely. I started keeping a close eye on my wife's actions. I woke up early so she cannot avoid me in the mornings. It was like she had started becoming a different person altogether. Her dressing sense had completely changed in the last 3 months. Earlier, her priority was to be comfortable in her clothes, but now it was like she had borrowed the closet of a model. I received another note placed on my car. This one said, "Be careful of who you trust." This only made me more confused. I didn't know anyone who would talk like this to me. My friends never pulled pranks like this. It wasn't making any sense. I saw a woman I had never seen before standing some distance to my car. I asked her if she had seen anyone putting this on my car. She shook her head no. I sighed, frustrated. I took a picture of the note like I did with the previous one and threw it in the dustbin. I decided to deal with this later. My topmost priority was to figure out what my wife has been hiding from me. When I went home after work, my wife wasn't there. I saw an envelope with my name and opened it. The contents of the mail took my breath away. My heart started beating fast. My worst nightmare had come true. Inside the envelope were pictures of my wife with that man from CCTV recordings. They were hugging each other, laughing together. There was a picture of him kissing my wife's forehead in a very romantic manner. It was clear, my wife was cheating on me. I could have confronted her that evening itself, but I wanted to catch her in the act. I didn't want to leave any chance so she could feed me some other stupid lie. I hid the envelope in my office drawer. I acted completely unaware in front of her. When one evening she told me that she is going out with her work friends, I nodded my head and went to my home office. I waited for her to leave the home and then took my car and trailed her behind. I needed to see if she's meeting her friends or that guy from the photographs. I saw her car leaving the city lights behind and then taking off-road to a very cottage-type home. What was she doing here so out of the city? Was my first thought. My thoughts got interrupted when I saw the car parked outside the cottage. It was the same car who I saw leaving my house that day. I saw her getting inside the cottage. The same guy from the CCTV recordings opened the door and they hugged each other. I saw her kissing him on cheeks, and that was enough. I had run out of patience. They had left the door open and I opened it with a strong force. They got scared and pulled back from each other. My wife was shocked that it was me who opened the door. "What are you doing here?" she asked me. "Shouldn't I be asking you questions?" I replied flatly. "This is what you've been doing behind my back," I continued while pointing to both of them. She made the expression that she didn't understand what I'm saying, but then started shaking her head no. "You are free to do what you want. You don't have to go behind my back. I'm out of here and your life as well." I started walking back to door when she ran and stopped me. "No, you cannot walk away from my life. Just give me 1 hour. I'll explain everything to you and then you can decide what to do," she told me with pleading eyes. "You are going to explain to me why you cheated on me?" I asked her, shocked by her words. "Just give me a chance to explain myself, please," she continued. She went to the guy and told him that she needs to tell me the truth now. He nodded. I sat there confused, not knowing what was going to happen next. She introduced me to the guy. His name was Jack. He started working in her company a year ago. When she told me his name, I realized that I heard his name in passing. I just didn't know his face. They asked me to sit down. My wife started telling me something when suddenly the door opened. There was a woman standing there. Tears streamed down her face. I had seen her somewhere, I just didn't know where. "You cheated on me," she started screaming at Jack. He was trying to calm her down. He was telling her that he didn't cheat on her. He was talking to her like he was trying to make a child understand his point. I looked at my wife for an explanation. She was watching the woman with sympathy in her eyes. I didn't know what was going on here. The woman was continuously sobbing while Jack was explaining something to her in a soothing voice. He then came to my wife and told her that he's taking that woman to her home. My wife looked hesitant by the idea, but then nodded and they left. I took a seat again on the couch and sighed. I was mentally exhausted at this point from all the drama and lies in my life. My wife took a seat beside me. She started talking and all the drama earlier seemed like a child's play when she told me the truth. The woman who entered was Sarah. She was in a long-term relationship with Jack's twin brother. Sadly, he passed away a year ago. Sarah had not been in stable condition since then. She refused to acknowledge that her boyfriend is no more. She had been in a very bad condition after her boyfriend passed away. Her friends took her to a counselor. The counselor suggested that for the time being, his twin brother, Jack, played his role and then detach her from her boyfriend. Jack was hesitant about this but did what they told him to. Their plan backfired and instead, she got more attached to him. She believed him to be her boyfriend. She wasn't recovering, so the counselor told her the truth that Jack wasn't her boyfriend. She did not believe anyone. Her boyfriend suddenly passing away has destroyed her completely. The counselors told him that maybe seeing Jack with another woman would make her realize that he was a different person. He was single and didn't want to date anyone, so he requested my wife to act to be with him. He needed someone he trusted. He was told that he needed to be with someone who was completely different than Sarah. "That's why you decided to dress up completely different?" I asked her. She nodded in affirmation. It was finally making sense now. "I wanted to tell you, but it wasn't my secret to tell," and Jack asked for the time till Sarah finally accepted it. She said to me, I asked her why she started ignoring me. "I felt guilty for not telling you the truth. I couldn't face you like that." "I'm sorry," she whispered silently. "Why didn't you come home that night?" She knew which night I was talking about. Sarah felt unconscious and we had to rush her to the hospital. I was at the hospital all night. I told her that I received an envelope full of pictures of her with Jack. We needed to act like we were together so Sarah could finally acknowledge the truth. It was just a show for her. She told me. Who sent me this envelope? I asked. Sarah. She thought that I was cheating on you with her boyfriend. Sarah told Jack today that she has evidence of us cheating and she'll show it to you as well. I then realized that it was Sarah who I saw near my car, and I even asked her if she saw someone. I told my wife that I saw Sarah at work one day. But Sarah doesn't work, she said, also confused as to what she was doing there. I told her about the notes. I showed her a picture of the notes on my phone. My wife recognized Sarah's handwriting. She used to send Jack notes. I remember it, she said. Everything was finally making sense. Sarah was warning me because she felt that my wife is cheating on me with her boyfriend. Why did you kiss him today? I asked, remembering that moment. We thought it was Sarah who was coming. I heard footsteps before you entered, so I figured it was her. That's why we came here. This is Jack's home. He wanted her to see he was a different person with a different home, a different life. She had a habit of following Jack everywhere. That's probably how she took the pictures as well. Finally, the mystery was solved. I couldn't stop feeling bad about Sarah. Losing someone you love can do this to someone. I almost lost my mind when I thought my wife cheated on me. I just wanted to get home after that with my wife after all this drama, so I did exactly that. I went home with my wife beside me.